Okay, we're recording. I want to continue about Mrs. Gump and start back in South Alameda Elementary School. I only stayed there the 1 year. There were junior high openings and I applied for them and ended up going up to Evergreen as junior high principal. And you move on, you don't worry about what you move away from. But at the junior high, I had a number of really good science teachers. In fact, when I went up to that junior high and was looking it over after I'd just been appointed to be the principal there the next year, a gentleman named Jerry Difford on the staff, very bright young fellow, approached me as I was just touring through the building, the old high school that was now the junior high, and he said, "Do I understand that you'll be the principal here next year?" "Yes." He introduced himself. And he said, "We have a terrible discipline problem here, and I want to know what you're going to do about it." Well, I said, "I don't know as I can tell you exactly what I'm going to do, but I will deal with it, and we won't keep having a terrible discipline problem." Well, that satisfied him. His friend and he came down, made arrangements to come down to our house, and he suggested some specific changes in scheduling and so on that sounded good to me. And he and his friend, Mr. Ossie, worked on it, and we made a lot of changes right down the line. But it wasn't very long, and we'll get back to that another time, I hope, that he had moved on into a special program where Dr. Bottomley, the superintendent of the Jefferson County Schools, was looking for people to recommend for a special program to train school administrators to be advanced, young people to go into school administration, and I recommended Mr. Difford. And by the way, my boss let me know he's not old enough and not experienced enough to be recommended. Well, fortunately for me, Dr. Bottomley had more respect for my opinion than he did for Miss Clapp, my boss's opinion, and Jerry was selected, and he went on to go way beyond anything I ever did in school administration. As I say, that's another story. Lyndon Wood was one of the science teachers that came in as Jerry left. Lyndon Wood eventually married and took a house on Troublesome Gulch. Some of you may remember seeing big TV units parked out on the entrance to Troublesome Gulch when a presidential candidate had said he just dared Mr. Hart. He just dared them to catch him having little liaisons with that young lady. Well, not only did Gary Hart live up the Troublesome Gulch, millionairess Mrs. Gump lived up there. And over the years, and long after I was gone, Woody, being a good neighbor, if Mrs. Gump was on vacation, he'd take care of the place for her while she was gone. Water things, feed the animals, whatever. And he told me later, we still stay in contact, that as she got older, she told him one day, "You do such a fine thing as a neighbor and take care of my place so well when I'm gone and so on. When I'm gone, I may leave you a little something." Well, Woody said the years passed and she did pass on, and he thought, well, she might leave me $1,000 or $500 or something. That would be nice. But he said a year went by, nothing happened. Yeah, well, so what? I was glad to help her. One day he gets a registered piece of mail. And when he opens a piece of mail, I believe he told me there was a check in there for $20,000 from her executor. I think, by golly, you got to say one thing about Mrs. Gump. You might not agree with her on how your ability group kids that she teaches, but when she says she'll be liable to reward her neighbor who has done nice things for her, she doesn't kid around. And she really did have the millions, did have the money. And by the way, Woody took that money, and he and a friend went over. I don't think he got to the top of that highest mountain over there, but he got way up there, and it was a trip of a lifetime for him. So thank you, Mrs. Gump. You didn't always agree with me, but I sure agree with your generosity and with you living in a fine neighborhood with a good neighbor like Woody.